I was only 14 when I died, and what Jesus showed me will change everything you think about your phone. That I saw children chained by their phones, and Jesus told me to warn you. My name is Madison, and when I was 14, I came face to face with a truth that broke everything I thought I knew. On October 17th, death touched me for 12 minutes. Yet what I saw in those 12 minutes changed how I see life, God, and myself forever. I wasn't ready to die. I was an ordinary teenager, scrolling through TikTok, chasing trends, comparing myself to others, and hiding my insecurities behind the glow of a screen. But in that fragile moment between life and death, all the noise was stripped away. For the first time, I stood naked before the one who knew me better than I knew myself. When Jesus looked at me, I didn't see judgment in his eyes. I saw truth so sharp that it cut through every excuse I had built for why I wasted my life staring at a phone. Yet in that same truth was love deeper than anything I'd ever tasted. He knew every cruel comment I had typed, every hour I had ignored my brother, every tear I had shed because of pictures online that made me feel worthless. And still, he loved me. In his presence, I realized something terrifying. I had traded hours, days, even years of real life for illusions. I had believed the lies of the screen more than the promises of God. And in that moment of clarity, I felt both broken and strangely free. Because Jesus didn't show me these things to shame me, he showed them to awaken me. He told me, Madison, the enemy doesn't need to destroy you with violence or hatred. He only needs to distract you. If your eyes are always on the screen, your heart will never hear my voice. Those words pierced me. I thought about the nights I cried, the times I begged God to show me he was real, but my hands reached for my phone before I gave him a chance to answer. I thought about the silence I feared, and how I had filled it with endless scrolling. Jesus showed me that silence wasn't empty, it was where his voice had always been waiting. In that place beyond death, I understood, faith is not about rules or rituals. Faith is about attention. What we give our eyes, our time, our hearts to, that is what we worship. And I had been worshipping shadows on a screen. Yet Jesus didn't leave me in despair. He gave me a mission, to tell others that the chains are real, but so is the freedom he offers. That day, I died, but I also began to live for the very first time. When Jesus took my hand, I suddenly stood in a place I could not explain. All around me were thousands of screens, glowing with the lives of children. Each screen showed faces like mine, some younger, some older, yet all of them bent down, consumed by the pull of phones, games, and endless scrolling. Their eyes looked empty, like the light inside them had been stolen. At first, I thought I was just seeing bad habits. But Jesus looked at me with sorrow and said, "This is what I see every day. These are the children I love, yet they cannot hear my voice anymore." Then I noticed something even darker. Around every child were shadows, figures whispering lies into their ears. Lies of comparison, lies of shame, lies that said, "You're not enough. You'll never be loved unless you look like them. You'll never matter unless you win. You'll never feel peace unless you keep scrolling." I watched one girl, not much older than me, clutching her phone like it was her only hope. With each swipe, a chain grew heavier around her neck. Jesus whispered her name, Emma. "She spends 6 hours a day comparing herself to illusions," he said. "She believes she is worthless, because she no longer knows the truth of who she is in me." My heart sank, because I saw myself in her. I remembered nights of crying because I wasn't invited to a party, or because my picture didn't get enough likes. I realized those shadows had whispered to me too, and I had listened. Then Jesus showed me a boy playing violent games. Each time he won, the shadows around him grew larger, feeding on his anger and exhaustion. He had not slept well in years. His heart is slowly forgetting compassion, Jesus said. The enemy does not care if he wins or loses. The only goal is to keep him trapped. Everywhere I looked, I saw the same pattern: children trading peace for distraction, laughter for loneliness, compassion for cruelty. And the chains grew with every moment wasted. Tears filled my eyes as Jesus placed his hand on my shoulder. Madison, he said, the enemy's greatest weapon is not war or bloodshed. It is distraction. If I cannot be heard, the heart slowly starves. In that moment, I felt the weight of his words not just for me, but for all of us. The enemy is not only after our time, he is after our hearts. And the screen, glowing so harmlessly, has become one of his sharpest tools. I share this because maybe you feel those same chains. Maybe you've felt the shadows whispering that you're not enough. I want you to know, that is not the voice of Jesus. His voice is love, freedom, and truth. If you believe Jesus can break those chains, write Amen in the comments, and may his protection cover you. As Jesus led me further, he lifted his hand and suddenly an hourglass appeared before me. But instead of sand, it was filled with scenes of my life, moments I could never relive. The hourglass glowed, and I saw myself again and again, sitting in silence with my phone in my hand, unaware of the people right beside me. Madison, Jesus said gently, 8,422 hours. That is how much of your life has already been poured into the screen. I did the math in my head. That was over a year of my existence. A whole year, gone, stolen not by sickness, not by tragedy, but by distraction. As the images played before me, I saw myself ignoring my grandmother as she tried to tell me stories from her childhood. I was too busy watching YouTube to notice the sparkle in her eyes as she shared her memories. I saw sunsets I had missed, because instead of looking at the sky, I was fixing the angle of my camera. I saw my little brother tugging on my sleeve, begging me to play, while I refused because I couldn't pause a TikTok scroll. Each scene pierced me deeper. I had believed that scrolling was harmless, just a way to relax. But now I saw the cost, the laughter I never heard, the love I never noticed, the presence of God I ignored. Jesus' voice broke into my grief. The enemy has found a way to steal life without anyone noticing. People think they are choosing entertainment, but they are trading away moments that were meant to shape their hearts. I wept as I realized it wasn't just time that was stolen. It was presence. I had given away pieces of my soul in exchange for noise. And worst of all, I had chosen that noise over his voice, every single time. Jesus showed me moments when he had come near, when he wanted to whisper peace into my heart, guide me in decisions, or simply let me know I was loved. But in every one of those moments, my hands had reached for my phone instead. I felt crushed under the weight of regret. Yet Jesus did not condemn me. He placed his hand on mine and said, I show you this not to shame you, but to awaken you. What you give your time to is what shapes your eternity. In that instant, I understood that life is not measured by years, but by attention. And I had been asleep, wasting the most precious gift God gives, time. Jesus lifted his hand again, and suddenly the screens faded. Before me was a simple living room. I saw a family gathered around a table, laughing, talking, and playing a board game together. There were no phones, no glowing screens, no distracted faces. Only joy, real joy, woven between their voices. The scene pierced me. It was warm, alive, so different from the empty glow of the screens I had just seen. And then Jesus whispered, "This could have been your life, Madison. This is what the enemy wants you to forget, that love, presence, and laughter are stronger than any notification." But when the screens rule the house, these moments vanish. I felt my heart breaking. How many nights had I sat inches away from my family, yet completely absent? How many times had I missed the sound of laughter because my headphones drowned it out? Jesus looked at me with a depth I cannot describe. The enemy's greatest lie is this: he convinces people they are more connected than ever, when in truth they are more alone than ever. Families sit together, but hearts are far apart. Children cry inside while parents scroll outside. And my voice, my comfort, is lost in the noise. Tears ran down my face. I realized the lie wasn't just in my life, it was everywhere. Every home. Every school. Every family thinking they were close, but silently drifting apart. Then his words came with both love and authority: "Madison, you must go back. Your time here is not finished. You have seen what many cannot see. And you must tell them, the chains are real, but so is the freedom. Parents must know they are handing poison when they give screens without wisdom. Children must know their worth is not measured in likes or followers. My people must awaken before it is too late." I trembled, because part of me wanted to stay. The peace with him was greater than anything I had ever felt. But his eyes told me the truth: love is not selfish. Love means returning, even when it is hard, for the sake of those still trapped. Will they listen? I asked softly. Some will, he said. And that is enough to begin the change. And in that moment, I understood. My story was no longer just mine, it was a message, a warning, and an invitation. Jesus was sending me back not as the same girl, but as a witness to his truth. When I opened my eyes in the hospital, I knew I wasn't the same girl who had left this world. The doctors called it a miracle, but deep inside, I knew it was more than survival. It was a second chance, one that carried responsibility. At first, it was difficult to put into words what I had seen. How do you explain to people that Jesus himself showed you the chains behind their screens? I feared my parents would think I imagined it. But when I asked them, on the very first night at home, to place all phones into a basket before dinner, something surprising happened. They agreed. That night, we sat at the table without buzzing notifications, without glowing distractions. For the first time in years, I looked into my mom's eyes and saw peace. I heard my dad's laughter, something I hadn't noticed in so long. Tyler told me stories without me cutting him off. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And I realized, that was the miracle. Not just that I had survived, but that my family was being healed. Slowly, our habits changed. Friday nights became board game nights. Mom deleted most of her social media apps. Dad stopped bringing his laptop to the dinner table. Tyler still played games, but with limits, and often with us. Our house felt lighter, as if invisible chains had finally fallen away. At school, sharing my story was harder. Some of my friends laughed. Others called me too intense. But a few listened, and that was enough. My best friend Zoe deleted Snapchat after hearing me speak. She later confessed she had been battling anxiety from constant scrolling. Now she was sleeping better, laughing more. Her mother even thanked mine, saying our conversation had changed their home. I realized then that Jesus was right. Not everyone will listen, but some will, and that is enough to begin change. The hardest battles weren't outside, but inside me. Sometimes I still reached for the phone, still felt the pull of endless scrolling. But now I could recognize the chains before they tightened. I could hear his whisper breaking through the noise, "Look up, Madison. Real life is right in front of you." So here is the message I leave with you: put the phone down. Look at your family. Listen to the people you love. Feel the sun, hear the silence, and let God's voice reach you. Because life, the real life you are longing for, is happening right now, and Jesus is waiting for your attention. If this message touched your heart, don't let it pass by in silence. Write "Amen" in the comments as a declaration of faith, and may Jesus cover you and your family with his protection and peace.